You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, B&B fans. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and today we are going to talk about several real-life tragedies involving Bold and the Beautiful actors from the past and also the present. Let's look at who dealt with cancer crises, their own and in their family, the death of a child, a real-life amnesia plot, and an attempted murder story that just happened recently. Before we dive into all these, though, please click subscribe if you haven't already. And now let's start with a discussion about Ron Moss, the beloved actor who played Ridge Forrester for so many years. So Ron Moss exited Bold and the Beautiful not long after he and his wife were in a terrifying auto accident. This is like a real life near-death tragedy thing. Ron's wife said on Facebook at the time that she and her husband were in a horrible car accident. She said, quote, "Yesterday we were in a crash that involved 8 cars and totaled our brand new truck." She blamed on an older driver who came at them out of nowhere and hit 2 other cars before hitting them. She said it was quite a scene, and poor Ron had a bad bump on his head that was bleeding along with a shoulder injury. She said also she was pretty sore and bruised and said they are blessed to be alive and grateful that no one else was hurt. So this was a near-death thing. Ron had a head injury and a shoulder injury. So what's shocking is that this car accident led to his exit as Ridge Forrester. It is a real life kind of amnesia-like tragedy, which is kind of shocking. Ron Moss admitted later that he had to leave the role of Ridge because of memory issues after the accident. He says, "It sounds funny, but it's true. I got to the point where I couldn't even remember what I was supposed to say in scenes the next day, and I thought, I don't know if I can continue to do this." I mean, wow. You know, you don't hear, I mean, that's technically not amnesia, but it is a memory issue. So it's amnesia adjacent. And of course, he's been recast. And one of our most recent tragic tales involves his replacement, Torsten Kay. But we're going to get to that after some other stunning tragedies. Now, let's talk about the former Taylor Hayes actress, Hunter Tylo. Her infant daughter, Katya Tylo, was born January 15th, 1998. And from the time she was 2 weeks old, she was always crying. Hunter Tylo later told CNN her newborn baby girl was showing signs of something painful going on with her. And she noticed that one of her daughter's eyes looked strange under certain circumstances in certain light, and part of the eye looked cloudy. And they went to the doctor, and her baby girl was diagnosed with a very rare form of eye cancer called retinoblastoma. The cancer is very rare, it's fast-moving, and it's deadly. And Hunter Tylo said if any cancerous cells had gotten outside the globe of her daughter's eye, there would have been little chance of survival. Fortunately, doctors acted fast. They had to operate on the little girl to remove the cancerous eye, and they said that to save her other eye, Hunter Tylo's baby girl had to go through months of chemotherapy. Thankfully, her daughter Katya came out of it cancer-free, but then Hunter Tylo suffered another unimaginable loss. 9 years later, on October 18th, 2007, her second oldest child, her son Michael Tylo Jr., drowned in their pool at their home. He was just 19 years old. Tylo's son suffered from complex partial seizures. I'm not exactly certain what that is, and I didn't dig into it too deeply. She said her oldest son, Chris Tylo, called her with the horrifying news that his brother was dead. And Hunter said, quote, "It was the worst thing I have ever heard in my life. I thought the worst thing in life was having a sick child and having a child that might be blind, but there's really nothing more painful than losing a child." 2 years later, Hunter Tylo sued the therapy center and the social worker that had worked with her son. The actress had her last episode as Taylor Taylor Hayes in 2019, and she was then recast with Krista Allen, who the soap subsequently fired mid-contract. Krista Allen said B&B told her they didn't need the character of Taylor anymore. So Hunter Tylo is now retired and is an artist. All right, now we're going to talk about Hope Logan actress Annika Noelle. She had 2 real-life tragedies that echoed a storyline for her character. Annika wrote an essay for Glamour magazine where she revealed she had not 1, but 2 miscarriages. She said that she intended this essay to be a therapeutic piece, and then it evolved into more. She said she usually keeps her personal life private, but decided to share her story in the hope it might help even one woman feel a little less alone. She said, "We are brave, we are resilient, we are strength embodied." So Noelle describes the kind of awful reality of showing up for an ultrasound to find out there no longer was a heartbeat. That happened to me as well. And there is nothing, you just cannot even imagine. Annika said, despite her personal tragedy, life kept moving forward, and working on a soap opera, she felt just really vulnerable and exposed because she was in the public eye while going through this and while grieving the loss. Not 1, but 2 miscarriages. Okay. And her character, Hope Logan, at the same time this was kind of going on, had her baby Beth die on screen. Later, of course, it turned out to be untrue, but as this was playing out, in her personal life, Annika Noelle had lost a baby daughter at 10 weeks and a son at 8 weeks, and she talked about losses and says, "I hope we can continue to give ourselves permission to share these experiences so we can feel a little less alone and a whole lot more brave because we need each other." And it seems these pregnancy losses, these real life tragedies, impacted her relationship with her fiance. They split in summer of 2023, although Annika never revealed his name. She did confirm their split and said, "And even though we could no longer bear the weight of the losses, you have left a lasting imprint on my heart. Thank you." Very sad. So the next person we're going to talk about is Caroline Spencer. There have been 2 Caroline Spencers on Bold, both of whose characters died, but we are talking about the younger one, the most recent Caroline, who was played by Lindsay Godfrey. So the actress was still a teenager when she found out she had Hodgkin's lymphoma. And to get through it, the actress said she needed 12 rounds of chemotherapy over a period of 6 months. That is a lot. And said she wound up shaving her head on her 18th birthday. In 2019, not long after she had left Bold and the Beautiful as Caroline, Lindsay Godfrey celebrated in a tweet saying it was her 4th year in remission. She tweeted that she was sending love and strength to those still battling and said, "You got this. I'm here for you." So after the cancer treatment, also, Lindsay Godfrey said she didn't know if she'd be able to have children. But then in 2014, she gave birth to her little girl, whom she called a miracle baby. But this wasn't her only medical crisis. In 2019, she also admitted she'd been diagnosed with border polar disorder, which means you have borderline personality disorder and also bipolar disorder. And in 2021, the actress told Soaps and Death that it had been a difficult journey, that she had been self-medicating to treat her depression, said she'd had a nervous breakdown and experienced anxiety, alcohol abuse, and self-harm, but finally got help and a diagnosis that improved her life. She said before that she was afraid she'd lose her job if this all came out, but is glad that she shared her story and said, quote, "Mental illness doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care who you are or what family you were born into or what your experiences were. The more we talk about it, the less alone everybody would feel." All right, and this last real life tragedy that we're going to talk about, as I mentioned at the top of this video, relates to Ron Moss's replacement, Torsten Kay, who of course was recast in the role of Ridge Forrester back in 2012. So this is breaking news as of the time that we made this video, involving what the perpetrator of an alleged crime said were her conversations with bold and beautiful actor Torsten Kay. Of course, it was not Torsten. It was someone masquerading as the actor who had reportedly encouraged her to murder her husband. This all came out from a December 3rd, 2023 investigation up in Massachusetts, where a woman named Roxanne Doucette is accused of trying to poison her husband's soup. Investigators said someone claiming to be soap star Torsten Kay urged her to kill her husband. And in fact, it was this woman, Roxanne's daughter, that alerted police to the possible soup tampering after her father was hospitalized. She said she saw messages on her mom's phone between her and somebody who said he was Torsten. Not only had the person scammed her mom out of $8,000, but also told him she needs to get rid of her husband because Torsten needs her. The text message from her to Torsten, according to investigators, said she was fixing her husband some amazing soup with a, quote, special potion. And she said it's just enough for him. And then later she messaged to the guy, maybe she can collect life insurance. And the scammer asked when she would get the money. In the end, seems like she might have had some second thoughts. She called 911. The ambulance came, took her husband to the hospital, and then her daughter saw the text, notified police. And then later, as they were investigating and arresting her, she refused to hand over her iPad and her iPhone to police. And she even kicked an officer in the crotch when they tried to take him as part of her arrest. The woman denied she poisoned her husband, saying she's a nurse and an excellent cook, but admitted that the Torsten person said he loved her and wanted her to leave her husband. But she insists she had no intentions of leaving him. She is due back in court this week and apparently gave the scammer a lot of money. That is the last of the bold and the beautiful real life tragedies, including this strange one that just happened. Hey, if you haven't already, please reach down, click subscribe so you don't miss any of our updates. Definitely drop your comments on what you think about all these sad and terrible things that have happened to people from Bold and the Beautiful. And definitely come back soon. This is Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I'm here talking B&B 7 days a week. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.